Welcome into the offseason, our third in the Nevada Wolfpack Dynasty. 8-5, 11-3, and now 8-5 in our first year in the Pac-12. And this is the first year we did not win a bowl game. We have not won a postseason game, at least in this series so far, whether that be conference championship, bowl game. But we faced our first ranked team in a bowl game this year, so that was a very tough challenge, and I think sets up, this fourth, fifth, and sixth season of this series. I think we have still a ways to go. I'm not saying that we are way far away, but we do have some things to clean up with building this roster up into a championship contender, especially at the FBS Power 5 level. Now, we have quite a few players that had big seasons and some questions going into the offseason. Will Micah Tease, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, move on to a new program? Will he hit the transfer portal? But that will open up opportunities for guys like Darius Whitehead, who had a good year as a backup slot receiver. Can he make that next leap in his career after 1 year starting? I think, the interesting thing about this team right now is that we had a total of one senior on this entire roster, which is incredible. That was the tight end, Riley Langley. But besides that, we have a lot of underclassmen, a lot of juniors. So we're going to be able to definitely build off of what we had last year, add some pieces, but pretty much be able to develop a lot of the players within this program. I think getting after the passer this year was definitely very, very difficult. And I say that because, we graduated two seniors a year ago with Carlos LaBarbera and then Jonathan Maldonado. Both of those guys were perennial, at least 6-sack guys. So you take those two guys away, you enter Ty Stitzer, who was really going into his first year as a starter. He led the team with 5.5 sacks. The next guy had 4.5. I mean, it was just a big drop-off. And we also did not create a ton of turnovers this year. So I'm definitely looking to improve that going into this offseason. So let's start with players leaving. And there are quite a few of them. Micah Tease headlines this list as he is looking for a championship contender, I'm guessing at the national championship level. He was really no surprise, to be honest with you, but we're going to go through each guy one by one. Micah Tease is a clear guy that we will use, one of our 7 chances to convince a guy to stay on. Coming from Tulsa, he had 657 yards, and he shot up and pretty much almost had 1,000 more yards and almost doubled his receptions. So we are going to try to persuade him. The chance is very low, and he will not be persuaded. So we are 0 for 1. Brooklyn Cheek is interesting. He was a guy that I feel didn't make as big of an impact as I wanted him to coming over from Wyoming. He started last year at Wyoming, didn't even have an interception that season, and came over and had 1 interception with us. I'm choosing not to go ahead and persuade him. I want him to hit the portal because I'm not really that truly impressed with him. Isaac Book was a big transfer get last offseason coming from BYU. The funny thing is that he is a left guard, and he allowed the most sacks on the squad, and he's our highest overall lineman. But I think that he's got way too much skill to let go, but he is also not persuaded, so we are 0 for 2. Jackson Barton is a guy that we thrusted into the starting lineup through the final 4 games of the year and played actually quite well. He played a lot on special teams the last couple of years and then finally got his chance to really shine, and I think he did a decent job. Did not create any turnovers, but played pretty well. So C+ chance of leaving for championship contender, and he decides to stick around. So I think he definitely felt something there at the end of the season. He got his chance, and he will be the first man to stay. Looking at the rest of the secondary here, we have B.D. Wyatt Jr. and Abercrombie. But I think the thing is, I don't know about those guys. Those guys haven't really played, and I haven't really, really went down that road yet. So I'm going to focus on some other guys first. Brandon Godfrey is just the most interesting player on this roster. The skill caps are extremely low, except for pass rush. If we can get all of our skill points for him on pass rush, he could be something good. We decided to convince him, and he does decide to stay. He is a redshirt freshman, so I think he still has a lot of potential left in the next 3 years, and he decides to stay. One player that threatened to transfer last year, and we convinced him to stay, was Deontay Stacy. We will actually use a persuasion opportunity again, and he decides to stay for the second straight year. So he will finish out his career with Nevada. 2 straight years of convincing him. Titus Saturday, the backup quarterback, actually third string this year, we convinced him to stay. So we convinced 3 guys to stay, and we are not going to use any more of our persuasion opportunities on the rest of these guys. I just don't really feel like I need to convince them to stay. These are guys that did not make an impact and guys I do not want back. So we head into the off-season recruiting, and we have quite a bit of high school commits already, but a couple of key ones still here on the board, like Fabian Brisker, who is one of my favorite backs I've seen in the high school ranks this year. He's in the 90 speed. He has good size, good weight, everything, and I think that he's a guy that I'm going to still go after here in the offseason. Now, we do have some guys further on the board here, but for the most part, we're pretty much locked in for all of these guys, so I think that allows us to hit the transfer portal pretty hard. So looking at what we do in recruiting, and just to give you a refresher, I always only go after the recommended tab, only because I consider this the tab that my scouts have found. So these are the guys that are eligible. How about Isaac Book being here with a chance that we can actually re-recruit him? I will choose not to, though, since he decided to leave, just because that's kind of what it is, and I will not go after him, even though that would be kind of pretty cool to see him leave and then end up convincing him to come back in the portal. But there are some interesting players here, like Jawan Heflin, who is the top 50 cornerback in the country here in the transfer portal, number 38, and Greg Burrell as well. So both of those guys are guys that I do really consider going after early on. Stephen Hefney is interesting. He's at Texas Tech, 929 rush yards and 11 touchdowns. So I decide to go after some of these guys. Jawan Heflin is the first. Now, Heflin comes over from Colorado. He is a 4-star portal player, number 34 ranked overall. Cole Neighbors, a edge rusher. He's coming from LSU. We will go after him. He was also in our recommended tab, and not all the guys in your recommended tab are interested in you right away, but you can still go after them. Stephen Hefney, 900 yards from Texas Tech. I will add him to our board. He will be our number 3 portal prospect. Tyquai Hayes out of Penn State. Penn State ends up losing 2 running backs to the portal. He is the number 28 overall prospect, so we're going to see if we have a chance to go after him. Javier Beatty, he will come over from Florida State. I wanted to make sure to focus on some of these bigger programs because I know these guys are going to end up being good. Zachary Grimes, he's from South Carolina. He's a 3-star transfer portal prospect. Theodore Blackwell, he's from USC. So that would be a big grab for us, you know, snagging him from one of the conference rivals and one of the best teams in the nation at this point. Dave Ingalls is a running back. He's from actually Charlotte. I like to go after guys like this that are kind of smaller, the north-south receivers, the east-west playmakers that are smaller. I know they're going to be pretty shifty, and I think that's one guy that we need in this rotation. Brody Benke, he's coming over from Middle Tennessee State. Caleb Thomas, he comes over from Miami of Ohio. He is a 2-star transfer portal prospect. He's ranked in the 1000s, by the way. Dylan Galloway, 772, Appalachian State tight end. And then finally here we have Kenyon Breezy, who is coming over on our board from Georgia Tech. It's not guaranteed we'll get any of these guys because a lot of those guys were not even in the top 8 right now. But we will advance on, and we do get some news. As you can see, we're kind of all over the place. A couple of guys we are in first place with. But some guys we have to let go, like Tyquai Hayes. I think that he is just probably not going to commit to us. We are way down on his board. But then we find out some news about Fabian Brisker at the top here. He has locked us out due to playing time, and I'm pretty sure it's because we added more running backs to the list. But the funny thing is he had an offer to Florida, and Florida pulls their scholarship offer. Now, in this game, if you are the only team to offer a scholarship to a player and he ends up not choosing you as the top school, he will still commit to your school. So we will keep him on the board, and hopefully he will still commit. I decided to add another cornerback late in Lionel Blunt. He is the number 229 cornerback. And now we advance to signing day here in the offseason. Well, our first commitment is Cole Neighbors, the edge rusher out of LSU. I know that LSU produces a lot of good players, so I'm very happy to get him. Fabian Brisker ends up, I guess, verbally committing to Cincinnati. However, he will come and be a Nevada Wolfpack player because we are the only team to offer him a scholarship. So we land our top prospect there. They got to fix that in this game. If you are the only school, they should have that as the animation that they commit to your school. We end up getting like all of our top high school prospects, though, like Morgan Ezekiel, Cantwell, Devon Traynor, Javon Jarvis, Jake Cologne. The development traits aren't really too super impressive, though, with our high school prospects. A lot of normal, a lot of impact. I haven't seen many star development, except for Dylan McKissick, our kicker. Interesting. The kicker ends up getting the star development. So I'm happy that we have a kicker that is more accurate than what we have than Darren Bortles. Mike Templeton was a guard that I recruited. He is normal dev. John Milley, another tight end for depth. He is normal dev. Gordon Poole, he is normal. And Caleb Ebron, a lot of normal depth development here in this recruiting class. We do get a nice quarterback here, Tyrell Telfort, 6'4", 176. He looks like a good developmental quarterback. He is impact dev. Brenton St. John, a linebacker. He is impact dev as well. And then Frank McGooligan will round off our high school recruits, and he is impact dev as well. We do end up losing Bryce B to Duke, and Jawan Heflin, who I really, really wanted to boost this secondary. He ends up going to Oregon. Oregon gets like two of the top three cornerback transfer portal guys in this offseason. Cole Neighbors, already highlighted him. I wanted to show him in that animation because he is star development and coming from LSU. I always like to get these guys from the big programs. They always come in with really good development traits, and having a nice edge rush at star development is definitely going to help out the pass rush. Javier Beatty and Hefney both commits. I'm happy about those guys. Zachary Grimes, he actually is going to add some pass rushing depth, and he's out of South Carolina. Dave Ingalls, impact dev, another tailback, and I want to get a good room of running backs here in this program. Brody Benke, unfortunately, commits to Kentucky, so we miss out on him. Caleb Thomas ends up coming, but he was a lot lower ranked, so I'm surprised. I'm happy that he came, but I'm surprised he did after seeing all these tight ends on the board. Galloway ends up committing to Nevada. Breesy ends up going to West Virginia. Lionel Blunt was a late add. He ends up committing, and I'm happy about him coming over because I do need that cornerback depth. And then a late quarterback add, and Eric Cantu ends up committing as well to the room. I tried to add another cornerback. We have plenty of them, but I was hoping to get some of these transfer portal cornerbacks because they come in with some development skill points as well. So we end up with the number 44 ranked recruiting class with only one 4-star this year. Last year, I believe we had 2 4-stars, and I believe that was with DeMar Tam, and also I forgot who else we had, Keon Burgess as well. So this year we only get one, and that is the defensive tackle that we did end up recruiting. But we do end up with a top 5 class in the Pac-12, as Colorado State actually is number 56. They are getting better as an organization. But we are here and looking at our players that did leave. Brooklyn Cheek goes to USF. Micah Tease goes to Oklahoma. Maybe the most realistic move I've seen in this series so far. Micah Tease goes over to Oklahoma, who produces elite receivers. I'm surprised he didn't go to Ohio State, though. I think he would have been the highest rated receiver on that squad as well. So on to position changes, and we don't have actually many of them, but one thing I loved about this recruiting class is that we added a ton of depth. We have plenty of quarterbacks to go around. We have plenty of running backs to go around. Plenty of cornerbacks to go around. So the only real move I'm going to end up making is Kai Thrash, one of our true freshman cornerbacks, is going to go to safety, and I'm going to redshirt him as a safety because I want him to develop there. And I think that we're getting to a point where we need to start, having guys that are at positions where players could eventually transfer away. So we end up going to the training phase and finding out that Larry Tuilolo, the multi-award winner, will be upgraded to star development going into his junior season. Marquise Rahman is upgraded to impact dev. He was a All-American this year as well. And then Mike Bandy upgrades his development trait from normal to impact. So I'm happy for him. I thought he was going to get it a year ago, but he ends up getting it this year. So let's focus on player training and upgrading specific players. I won't highlight everybody, but we're going to go through a lot of players here that are going to be key players going into this season. First is Dylan Council. I really want to make Council a more accurate quarterback while also giving him a stronger arm. So we upgrade both of those, and now he is very, very accurate all around. Mobile resistance, I end up giving a physical upgrade to him there, and he ends up looking very, very good going into the season. 80 overall, very solid, and I'm happy to see him as our starting quarterback going into year 2. Titus Saturday, who we convinced to stay. Now, his deal breaker is playing time. I'm going to make him uber accurate and make sure that he gets one speed upgrade as well. But I think it's very important that, we just boost that accuracy, make him a viable backup quarterback, because going into this season, I think he's going to be the backup. I recruited him to kind of be that player, and I like the development and the trajectory that he's going to be on. So we're going to continue to develop him. Hopefully he doesn't transfer away. Let's talk about the most interesting player that we need to develop, and that is David Lacouture. He has a lot of skill points as a star development, and we end up upgrading his speed up to 96 with acceleration. He looks really good, but the on-field production has to translate and really show with his ratings as well. David Paul is interesting, though, because I'm able to upgrade 2 skill points for him on quickness, and he ends up being 92 speed, 91 acceleration. I think that was the one key thing missing from his game. So we'll see what happens at the running back position, but I think it gets interesting seeing that Paul is up to 92 speed now. DeMar Tam, very, very good prospect we recruited last year. He was close to a 1,000-yard season, 8 touchdowns, and I think he's ready for a major breakout season. I'm going to upgrade his sure hands to a bronze. His press pro was already at bronze, and now his 50-50 ball is at a gold. So he turns into one of the most all-around players on this receiving core, and I think he's in for a major season. Mike Bandy, I'm going to upgrade his 50-50. Like, this is a no question for me because I know he's going to be such a great player on the outside, and I want to see him really take advantage of those mismatches and those 50-50 balls, and I'm going to upgrade his sure hands to make sure he has those great hands, and upgrade his hands one more. And you just see spectacular catch at 95 and catching at 98. A big guy coming into this season will be Dylan Galloway. He was our top-rated tight end in the portal. He ends up going up to 77 overall and ends up turning into a pretty good route runner. However, his speed is in the 70s, just something to keep in your mind. Trevor Cantwell, he was a recruit back in Season 1. We recruited him as a tackle, I believe, a raw strength tackle. And at the time, raw strength was very, very expensive to upgrade. Now these guys actually make sense to recruit. And we end up upgrading him from a 70 all the way up to an 80 overall in this offseason. Ty Stitzer, 5.5 sacks a year ago. I'm happy to see what he did for us, and it makes me hopeful for what he can do in the future. I really do think that he's got a bright future coming off of the edge, and now that we added more edge depth, I do think that he's in for a breakout year. Dennis Briggs is interesting. He's the one guy that's got the highest power moves on the team at 91. He goes up to 82 overall. Cole Neighbors was a guy that I was very, very interested to see how many points he would have here, and he has a ton of them. I'm going to upgrade his pocket disruptor, and I'm also going to make sure to upgrade his finesse moves as high as I can get them, along with his block shedding, because I do want him to make an impact on not only getting after the passer, but also stopping the run. So we get him up to 91 finesse moves, and we end up getting his awareness and play recognition up a little bit as well. And he looks very, very solid all around. But where does that leave Keon Burgess coming into his sophomore year? He was the primary pass rusher opposite of Ty Stitzer. Well, we're going to upgrade his finesse moves to go up all the way to 77 overall. And I think that the thing is that Burgess still has some developing to do. He's still very raw with his talents, but he is athletic, and he's going to get a chance. He's going to be that third edge rusher in the game, backing up both Ty Stitzer and what we see with Cole Neighbors more than likely. Now, Javier Beatty was a guy that we added in the portal. I really wanted to get another impact linebacker to add next to Tuilolo. I'm hoping that Beatty can be that answer, and I think he might be. I really like his ratings. He's athletic, he can cover in zone, and he's a decent tackler as well. Then there's Larry Tuilolo. I decide to upgrade his pursuit and tackling and his blow-up ability, because I think that he's going to be able to blow up a lot of plays, make a lot of plays, even in zone coverage, as he's at 85 zone as well. And then finally, the last two players I want to upgrade here. Lionel Blunt, a late transfer portal ad, ends up being so good. This reminds me of when we decided to go after Josiah Persinger. He can absolutely play. Zone coverage in the mid-80s, catching in the high 80s. I'm hoping to create some turnovers, and he can also play man coverage. So watch out. For the first time in this series, we will actually be able to play some man coverage. Now, last year we recruited Andres Estandia. He was an athlete who I thought was going to be a running back, but I ended up moving him to safety. And good thing I did, because in 2 years, actually in one offseason, he ends up going from a 67 to a 77 overall safety. So I love the upgrades that we just went through, and I think the potential for this team is sky high now. We have depth at every position, and now for the first time, we have to cut our roster size down. So I decided to make quite a few cuts. The big one being Hezekiah Anahu Ambrosio. He has not been good for us, and I think he's missed a ton of tackles, and I'm just going to encourage him to transfer away. And then we don't need Darren Bortles anymore now that we have a new kicker. Bortles has missed a lot of field goals, and I'm kind of ready to move on from him. And then Christian Farrell at tailback. We literally have 8 tailbacks and no room for him, so that is the move we are going to make. So going into this season, it will be our second year in the Pac-12. We will add Cal and Stanford back. A lot of you guys said to add those two teams back, so I will go ahead and do that. Cal being the better of the two. And then we will be switching playbooks to the TCU Air Raid. So let's talk about the schedule going into season number 4. We will start out the season at Nebraska, number 7 team in the country. And then we will go on the road to face the Gators in the Swamp. Why is this an important game? Well, remember, just a year ago, our starting quarterback, Enrique D'Amico, transferred to Florida, and now it looks like he is in line to start. So we could face our former, who we thought was going to be our franchise quarterback or our program quarterback, whatever you want to call it. He is actually almost maxed out with his abilities as well. We will then return home for our first home game, and we will play Michigan State at home. And then we will go on the road. So 3 of the 4 non-conference games this year will be on the road. We will play Boston College, another ACC opponent. We haven't faced many of them in this series. We faced SMU last year in our bowl game, and now we get to face Boston College on the road. We then start conference play versus UCLA. But this is a very different UCLA team, different from the national championship team they just had a year ago. No more Nico Imaliava. It's Paul Lamb. a sophomore with not much experience at all. And I think going from a 99 overall quarterback down to a 78 overall quarterback is definitely going to hurt this program a little bit. And I think we could end up upsetting them on the road at the Rose Bowl Stadium. We then face Colorado State, who, remember, we lost to last year in the Pac-12. And then we will face USC in Game 3 in the Pac-12 play. And I think this is going to be the toughest game here in conference play this year because they return a lot of their starters. They have the conference's best offense. And just like I said a year ago, UCLA had a championship team. I think USC is going to try to go for a national championship this year as well. We then face Washington State and Boise State. But Boise State also will return so much of their offense. Their offense is going to be really, really good. If we contain them there, we could win that game. But we do get them at home, and that will start a 3-game homestand where we play California and San Diego State. But then, as always, we will end the season versus UNLV. But UNLV has a new starting quarterback. No more Bo Sparks. It's the Eric Harvin show. A redshirt freshman who can run, who can throw the football. It looks like his future is very, very bright. So let's get into the spring practice, and I just want to talk about a couple of notes before the end of this episode. One thing I found out right away is our offense seems way more explosive. This is the first play of practice, a 30-yard screen to David Paul. Then in comes Fabian Brisker at running back. And I think that this team is going to be able to run the football this year. The blocking even seems more sound. Everything seems better. Even picking up blitzes. Look at that. There was an all-out blitz, a cover zero blitz, and we're able to get it away to DeMar Tam, who was wearing that new number 1 going into this season. Here is Fabian Brisker, though. You see the ability, the speed, the quickness to get around the edge, the ability to make men miss and pick up a couple of yards. This is something that we have not had in this series. And I decide to really, give him a few carries and see what he can do. And every single carry, that was a gain of 6. If that was David Locouture, that was a gain of 3. But here is Council this time, loading up and throwing deep, and Mike Bandy is back. He's going to be in for a huge year on the outside. I'm looking forward to the deep shots we're going to be able to take. More RPO this time over to DeMar Tam, and I think Tam is going to play all around the field. He's going to play in the slot. He's going to play on the outside. He's really going to be in for a really big year. I didn't even get to highlight guys like Stephen Hefney, who comes in from the transfer portal from Texas Tech, and guys like Cole Neighbors coming off of the edge. I had a lot of fun practicing, but I was just more excited to get into the season. But looking at our roster, we are 79s across the board. This is the highest rated team we've had in this series so far. And I think that this team is going to be special. We have a lot of freshmen also that are going to make impact, like Morgan Ezekiel. He's going to play a big role as our primary rush defensive tackle on third downs. And Eric Sandejo is still going to play. Amir Broussard is still going to play. We're going to see the big man up front, but I like Morgan Ezekiel. He was our only 4-star prospect coming into this year. But the thing that we have this year is depth. When a player goes down from injury, I think we're going to be able to really pick up the slack, because remember last year, Amir Broussard got hurt towards the end of the year, and so did Ty Stitzer. And after that, we did not have an answer for getting after the quarterback. But this year, I'm not sure that will be a problem going forward. So that will do it here for the offseason. I'm excited to get into the regular season. Let me know what you guys think of this team. We do have a tough schedule, but I'm up for the challenge, and I think this team is as well. So hit subscribe, hit that like button. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm ready for the 4th season here in this series. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.